Hey YouTube. I had someone ask me about what are some good maintenance tips for beginners and things that people can do after a ride to kind of keep their bike in good shape. And really, it's not too complicated in the things that I do personally. There may be things that are more important to do or things that you should be doing that I'm not mentioning here, so kind of keep looking into it. But I'm going to go over some of the things I do after a ride or at least before my next ride. The first things I do is I clean off my stanchions here. I usually just wipe the dust off them, and I check them for any nicks or wear or anything like that. And I also check my seals here. If these seals, I know it's real hard to see in this light, but if these seals are cracked, it's time to get your fork rebuilt. So kind of keep an eye on these. You don't want them cracked, you don't want them muddy, and you don't want any buildup in here. That can ruin your fork, especially if you run in silty stuff, really fine abrasive type trails. That can ruin your stanchions, which are expensive to replace, and it can ruin your seals. Consequently, when I got this bike, it had the original seals from Fox, and these are updated seals when they rebuilt my fork. So it's kind of a neat thing. Every now and then when you just have something done for regular service, you get a little better performance because of something like a more slippery seal. So I check that. I check the tires, make sure that I don't have any cuts or abrasions, and I give the tire, I'll pick it up, give it a good spin, make sure that I don't have any my rim's not bent or anything like that. So you spin both tires. I also clean off my shock, make sure that that's good and clean. I always check my travel indicator, see where that is, and bring that back up to the top so I can see what my next ride is. And again, check the tire and everything. But one thing I do that some people might consider a little excessive, but I can't hate that I've been doing, I lube my chain after every ride. I use I think this stuff called rock and roll, and basically the way you apply it is you just put it on there liberally, a whole bunch, back pedal, freewheel it, and then you just take sorry, brain's not working. You take a paper towel and just wipe that chain clean and wipe it super clean. I really stress using a bike chain specific lube that you get from a bike shop. I don't recommend things that are just normal lubricants. They're not meant for chains. You want to find something that's meant for a chain because the lubrication is different. The lubrication on these chains, or on the chain lubes, is it's like a waxy type of lube, and so you have to shake it up real good and then apply it liberally and then wipe it down. And when you do that, you're basically cleaning your chain. And by doing that, I've kept the original derailleur. I've only just replaced my chain once since I've had the bike. So it's real handy to do that. I know it's a little extra work, but I think it's well worth it. Other than that, just kind of, if you want to run the Allen wrench over things, check for tightness. Don't crank stuff down. Don't crank this bolt down so much that you strip it. Same with the headset bolt. This thing you don't want to crank down a whole bunch. You want it snug, you don't want it cranked down. It can crush your headset. Bolts like this, you don't want to keep cranking them down because that can fatigue the junction, or fatigue the neck itself, and you cause a failure. So, I would just put on there, if you're going to check the tightness of your bolts, just put it on there and just see if it's loose. If it turns easily when you go to tighten it, obviously it needs to be tightened. But if you just put a little pressure on it, it doesn't move, I don't know that I'd move it. I'm not the expert here. I'm not saying that this is 100%, but if you keep cranking down on these bolts and putting your might on it, it's just going to strip it, and it's going to stretch the metal, and it's going to fatigue it. So I wouldn't run an Allen wrench over your entire bike and just crank it down. Eventually you're going to cause something to fail by trying to take care of it. And I'm not saying that if a bolt's loose you shouldn't tighten it either. There's a fine line here. it's a good idea to check these here. If you're concerned about them. But again, don't over tighten things. You can actually ruin your bike by trying to take care of it. As far as other things, keep your bike fairly clean. My bike is a little bit cleaner than normal because I just had the chain redone at the shop, and they were nice enough to just wash it up for me and get it real sparkly. So, but really, the big things are the shock, the fork stanchions, and then lube the chain. You do that in general, and obviously check your tires, make sure they're not cut up. But you do those things, and you should be good. Another thing you can do is if you've got a stand or something like that, throw the bike up on the stand, or flip the bike over and put a towel down or something to protect your seat and your handlebars, and then run through the gears. Check the gears, make sure that it's shifting crisply. If it's ghost shifting or not holding your gears, then you need to do an adjustment, and that's a whole other video. But those are the things I do personally to keep my bike in good shape, and I'd say it's been working. I mean, it's 2014 and this is a 2011. I've kept it in pretty good shape. I've gone through a couple sets of tires, I've gone through a chain, and I've gone through some brake pads. Aside from that, it's been pretty trouble-free. So, but I do try and keep it, keep my bike maintained as much as possible. So anyway, that's my video on basic bike maintenance. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but as far as just kind of an every right thing, those are the things I look for. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.